Most of us spend our entire practice session fixing intonation, fixing bow speed, fixing the passage that keeps falling apart, something that's not smoothly connected. And, correcting our mistakes is important. But how are we fixing? How are we connecting the neural pathways so that that fix will stick and we're not just fixing the same thing over and over? And what if our practice session wasn't only fixing things? Most of it, or part of it at least, was feeling. There's a huge difference between fixing music and feeling music. And if you don't have a healthy balance of both, you start feeling burnt out or overwhelmed, or worse, both. If we haven't met, I'm EP Archer, and I help committed adults play the violin with beautiful tone and confidence without giving up the music they love. Fixing is in our left brain, and yet oftentimes the way that we fix something is not sequential in a way that will help our brain do it again. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say I'm going from the note open A to first finger B, and my first finger B is out of tune. So I squish it around, I adjust it a little bit, I get it in tune. The next time I come to that passage, because of the way I fixed it, I played a correct note, I played an incorrect note, I fixed the note, and then I went on. That is the sequence I've now established in my brain. And now I've established a wrong note and a wiggly, fixy note. How do we eliminate that? We have to back up. So when you are fixing, the number one thing is to make sure you back up significantly enough to establish that neural pathway. So I'm going to back up and I'm going to play open A and I'm going to place the B. And if it's out of tune, I'm going to go back and I'm going to repeat that process as slowly and as mindfully as I need to have more correct repetitions than incorrect. If I'm missing that B all over the place, I need to give myself a reference pitch. I need to really hone in on it. I need to give external source so that I can hear. And I need to make sure that what I am playing is being reinforcing that correctness, not the struggle of trying to get it. And of course, as a silly example, maybe many of you can play A to B simply and easily, but use this in whatever passage you're working on, whatever challenge you have to keep fixing. Maybe it's a shift. Maybe it's intensifying your vibrato. It doesn't matter how advanced it is. It just matters the brain sequence. So we start with a external source to give us a feedback that is correct. If we don't have data, we don't know what's going on. We don't know if our B is in tune. So if you're working on intonation, you should have a tuner out and on. If you are working on timing and rhythm, you should have a metronome. And if you're working on syncing things together, you should be recording yourself because that feedback is going to let you know what is actually happening. So to correctly program your brain and your neural connections to make them effective, if you're going from A to B to C and B is the problem, we want to back up to A. If C is the problem, back up to B. And this could be a few notes back. It could be a few measures back, but you basically want to allow your brain to enter the sequence. It should be back far enough that you can start there from memory without faltering and start there by looking at your music without faltering. Then you're getting the sequence programmed. Once you have backed up to fix, now you have what I call the scales. In your right hand are all the times you've played it correctly, and in your left hand are all the times you've played it incorrectly. And just go ahead and raise or lower your hands. Most of the time what we do is we kind of shift the balance of the scales, and as soon as the correct side of the scale is a little higher, we're like, yay, I feel successful, I did it. But what we really need to do is that math problem. Okay, I've played it 5 times incorrectly and 6 times correctly. What's the percentage that I'm going to play it correctly? Not what I want, right? And that's where going slow and having a strategy and a tactic to practice can be super effective and, keep you from wasting a bunch of time by practicing incorrectly and then making it harder on yourself the next time. So you've got the 2 tools so far, backing up. And the second tool is to be able to say, what's my percentage? How many correct versus incorrect? And you may need a few days to right that ship, right? If you've played it and played through it and busted through and made some sloppy errors, you may need to slow down, and it may take a few days to get your percentages back on track, to get your data back on track. But just think of it as your little violin business. If you were working at a job, a office place, if you were an entrepreneur, you would have your KPIs, your key performance indicators. And if we have those for violin when we practice, what happens is we don't have to fix as much, because we're like, you know what? I'm going to go really slowly enough I can actually play this correctly. And then it gets ingrained quicker. It's so weird, right? But that is the third trick. The slower, the better. I'm sure you've heard a teacher say this. You may have said it to yourself. It's hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do. Huge payoff. Slowly, as slow as molasses, so that I can focus on more than one thing at a time. And usually I have to go pretty slow, focus only on the left hand. Pretty slow, focus only on the right hand. Twice as slow as that pretty slow, and put the hands together. So we've got the backing up, we've got the tipping the scales and getting your great percentage, and we've got slow down. So the bigger topic of this, and the elephant in the room, that I love elephants. I don't know about you. So this beautiful elephant that I want you to embrace and nurture is that when we're only focused on the fix, what happens is our left brain is taking charge, our right brain is quiet. And we want the whole brain to be involved. We want to be able to be integrative. And players that only ever fix never build that somatic connection that makes music feel alive and beautiful and connected. They're practicing fixing, and they're getting good at noticing problems or how to fix them. And like I just shared, there are tactics and tools that will help that be more effective. But we wait to feel. Feeling is right-brained. It's our embodiment, our expression. It's our connectivity. It's our presence. It's what happens when we don't have to monitor and we can be in the moment, when we're creating the music instead of watching ourselves play it or being police dog to our fingers. This is the state where our tone really opens up. It's the next level of tone and resonance. It's the next level of somatic integration where your body feels like that you were meant to play the violin. And we don't want to get into a situation where we're fixing and we're practicing and we're working. And now that I finally know the piece, now I can feel it. You won't feel it. You'll still feel disconnected. You'll oftentimes feel like a student or a pupil instead of a player, a musician, a violinist. And I want you to feel like a violinist from the first day you pick it up. I don't care if you can't only play an open string. I want you to feel that. So let's talk about quickly integrating this feeling, this right brain, this somatic resonance as you're practicing, as you're fixing. So when I say stop fixing, I mean stop focusing only on fixing. Let's go back to that first example where I was going from an A to a B. Once I have calculated and calibrated what I need, maybe I need a drone of the note B and I go from A to B. Maybe I need a drone of G because the notes that I'm playing are within a G scale. I'm going to back up and I'm going to play G and then A and then B with the drone. Once I have that in place, and I have, let's say, a tuner, and I'm able to go through this slowly, I'm going to go ahead and turn over the page, close my eyes. I'm going to do that same sequence in my body, feeling it. How are my fingers? How are my wrists? Am I dropping from the bass joint? Do I have a relaxed, pliable thumb? Is my wrist locked out, or can I gently create a spongy feeling by wiggling it? Is my arm solid, or can I gently swing my left elbow? In my right hand, is my thumb pressing, or my first finger, or my pinky finger? Can I get a flexible, delicious, spiraling feeling in my right hand? Can I do a connected bow stroke? And as I check in on those technique things, I then let that information from my brain fall away. What does this feel like? What does this represent? Where is this phrase growing? And how do I build it or decay it? How does this make me feel when I play it? Is it resonating in my chest? Is it resonating within my body? And when I can feel like a violinist playing those notes, that sparks something. That flips the switch, and that allows us to be who we are inside of the music instead of waiting until everything's fixed to feel good about it. I want you to feel really good in the moment. So here's how you can try it now in 5 minutes. Pick a passage you've been fixing. Play it once as a fixer, doing those tools and tactics so that you can be very effective in your fixing. And then put down that hat. Just play it again as a musician, as a violinist. Listen, feel. Don't worry about corrections, and notice what your body does differently. Notice the expression on your face. Notice if you can close your eyes or walk around or what your body does differently. That is how we integrate. That is how we become amazing players. I'd love to hear how it's going for you. You can come by and say hi, facebook.com/group/adult violin, absolutely free community for adults where we give tips and tactics and tools like this. And we just get to come together and say hi. So come and say hi. Let me know if you tried this and how it went. And I cannot wait to hear about it. Remember, your best music is on the other side of just getting into the music and feeling it, whether it's one note or 1,000. And I can't wait to see you there.